Prioritize your time. Create a calendar or, use a Trello board, find ways to kind of manage your time efficiently. Create the habit. Create the good habit. Waking up saying, all right, today's going to be a good day. Not, today's going to be so stressful because X, Y, and Z. Well, if you start the day like that,
Cool, Theo. So yeah, really happy to kickstart this part three with you. So as I've just mentioned, parts one and parts two, probably more practical and technical in the sense of getting yourself set up on LinkedIn, your portfolio, case studies, which I think most people are concerned about. And that's the thing I think most people focus on, especially when you're trying to get that first job. But part three, we're going to be focusing on mindfulness and just your mental health in general, heading into a job hunt or if you're in between work. And I think it's really important and probably even more important than, I don't know, getting your case study in order. Yeah. So I don't know your thoughts on that. Probably I've led it away down a garden path already, but I want you to, yeah, just give your thoughts and your experiences because I do know you do a lot of mentoring with mentees that maybe have a lot of questions around this too.
of course. Well, the portfolio is always important. Your resume is always important. Being active on LinkedIn is important. Putting yourself out there, also important. But sometimes we don't realize what it does to us. When I talk about mindfulness, taking care of yourself, understanding expectations, I think that's really, really important. A lot of times, a mentee will come to me and they'll be very, very hyper focused. I need to work in this industry. I have to work at Google or I have to work here. And it's like, well, if you're just going industry, let's say you're junior level, take a
Mm,
step back, be open to a lot of different things to jumpstart your career. I mean, I had no idea out of college. Like I was gung ho VR, doing all these publications and research, neuroscience. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do stuff with VR. That's my end goal. And then now I'm working in SaaS, right? I'm working on products,
yeah.
like a lot of internal tooling and sales stuff, but and then working at Meyer and doing some grocery store stuff and shopping experience. So it's like take whatever you can get
Mm,
and meld it. Now, when you talk about priority focus, right?
mm,
Well, yes, the portfolio, 100% agree. I'm working with a lot of mentees right now with their portfolio, showing their process. But if let's say you're in this can go for a lot of different things.
mm,
Maybe you're in a current job right now and you're trying to get out, right? Maybe you have a sick family member you're taking care of. You have like an elderly you're taking care of. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you have other things. Maybe you're still in school. You have all these things you're juggling.
yeah.
Prioritize your time. Create a calendar or use a Trello board. Find ways
Mm,
to kind of manage your time efficiently.
mm.
And I'll be honest with you guys. Listen, I'm human. I sometimes struggle with that. I have my full-time job.
Yeah.
Working as a consultant for Microsoft. On the weekends, I manage my big YouTube channel, Real Experience Ball Reviews. We do bowling
Mm,
stuff. So it's like I go to work. I do the YouTube channel when I can. I spend time with my family, and then I mentor people. And on the weekends, it's the same thing. Allocating that time.
mm,
Now it's great to go through and do all these things for your career, being active on LinkedIn, doing all this stuff. But like, make the time for yourself. And if you
yeah.
find yourself going in these interviews, stumbling on your words or scrambling to get things together, or you're going through interviews and you're not seeing results, let's talk about reflection.
Yeah.
Why might that be happening, right? So there's a couple
Mm,
different things. It could be your process and how you're going through it, how you're talking about your research or your design process, or how you're showcasing yourself, or maybe you have so much going on that you're just, not being who you are.
yeah.
And we've all been there. I've been there. I
Mm,
mean, nobody is perfect. This concept of the perfect portfolio or the perfect process, everybody's unique, and that's what makes us unique as
yeah.
UXers, as people. It
Mm,
doesn't matter. I mean, I'm even saying like any job, just being able to go in and execute an interview and take care of yourself. I
yeah.
mean, kind of leads into anything. If you have any questions on that, we can start diving
Yeah.
in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I think all those points are really, really important. And I think, yeah, getting your own mind in order. I think that's something that it's not the key to success, but it can help you at least feel more yourself in interviews and not get overwhelmed by rejection as well. That's one thing I want to lead into. Yeah. How do you handle rejection? I'll just kind of go straight down that line. Maybe you personally, how have you handled rejection in the past, maybe, especially when you've been in that job hunt for a while, or you're getting not desperate, but funds are running low, or maybe I don't know, the benefits you're receiving are running dry. How can you handle that and not get too overwhelmed or too panicked, which then maybe affects interviews later on?
Well, you look at it, as sometimes when you receive the rejection, you might have a lot of cognitive distortions that come in, or this feeling of self-doubt. I'm not good enough. Oh, I'm never going to. I am not this. We don't
Mm,
want to talk like that because the rejection, I mean, you have to understand there could be so many reasons why you didn't get that job. They could have literally just been wanting somebody internal.
yeah.
Maybe they just needed to post that. It happens, and then they
Mm,
found somebody internal, or,
yeah.
yes, maybe you did a great job, you're an excellent fit, but maybe they needed somebody with that skill set in this specific area and you didn't have it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like I'll be honest, when I was first going into industry, oh my God. And even I still had rejections even throughout my career. When they had the RTO thing with Apple, it was tough,
Mm,
finding my next gig.
yeah.
And I was getting rejections, but then I found, the Microsoft gig, which was fantastic, but
Mm,
can't let it get you down.
yeah.
You have to reflect on how can I be better?
Yeah.
Okay, I did well. This is what I should work on. Now, sometimes, because I like to reach out to recruiters, hey, I noticed that I got rejected, or like let's say you're in the interview process. So there's a couple different ways, right? You apply, then you get just rejected, or
Mm,
you go through the interview process and then, hey, we appreciate your time and feedback, but right now we're not moving forward with you. Thank you for the time. Follow up with the recruiter. Not all of them do, but ask them, hey, I'd love to understand, what went well. What can I improve? Just any general feedback I can receive from the hiring manager or the recruiting team. That way I can better prepare for any future interviews.
mm, sure.
That's how I approach that process. Yeah, you might get just crickets after that,
Or
but
copy
I've
and
noticed
paste.
there are great companies out there that will be like,
Mm,
hey, we liked X, Y, and Z, but we were looking for, ABC, and you
yeah.
didn't have that. Keep up the great work. Because then you might actually get that back and you'd be like, oh, wow, like I was actually doing really well in these areas, and maybe I just need to focus on this and that, you
Yeah.
know?
And yeah, that's really great advice, and that's actually something I did recently. I contacted I think it was one of the team members within the team I potentially would have got the job in, and just said, "Hey, look, my application didn't go through." It was actually, I think, on a take-home task. I just
Mm,
said, "Look, I've not got any feedback. Would I be able to have some, even if it's just, I don't know, a couple of sentences, just so I know what I can focus on in the future?" And they replied back and they said, "Look, we don't do this for everybody, but seeing as you asked specifically, which also gives me an indication that not many people do ask, which
mhm.
maybe is something that people could do because, as you said, it gives you something to focus on that's positive. And then, yeah, they gave me something to work on. They said, look, your process was great. All of this was really good. It was just missing this thing, which now I can, next time in my next application or take home task, it's something I know that I can focus on. So it helps you improve. So yeah, that's really good advice. I also wanted to ask you as well, because I've dealt with this as well. When there is big gaps between interviews, like I had this a couple of months ago where I had to wait, I think, 3 months between one interview and the next interview that I got invited to. How do you deal with that as well? Because I had a lot of self-doubt in that. I was sending a lot of applications. I was reaching out to companies, doing all the things they tell you to do. And I just wasn't getting invited for interviews. And then you start this, yeah, vicious cycle of self-doubt. How can you handle those, yeah, big gaps? Because then when you do get an interview, you feel quite rusty as well. So
Mm.
do you have any advice around that too?
Yeah, so a lot of the larger tech companies and just other just, I mean, anything. I've seen people like, oh my gosh, like it was like 8 month interview process, right? From all different areas in the industry. It's not just UX. I'm talking just everywhere. You
Mm.
might have one interview and then, like you said, 3 months later, hey, or sorry about the delay. You're like there's that limbo time from
Yeah.
the first to the third month. I usually, if that happened to me, I would check in like
Yeah.
month at least, like, hey, I'm just, I'm curious about feedback on the
Yeah.
process, any news or updates. That's what I do. Try not
Yeah.
to, email them every 2 weeks because every week, because then,
Yeah.
they'd be like, okay, it's just like being respectful of them. I mean,
Mm.
sometimes these recruiting processes just take forever, and
Yeah.
there could be emotion going on in the org or programmatic
Mm.
changes or something where things are shifting, and like they just that's just what happens, right? It
Yeah.
just takes time for them to kind of go through and go through the recruiting process, or there
Mm.
maybe someone had a maternity leave or emergency leave and the manager's gone, right? There's like all these things, so it's like
Yeah.
that's when we bring it back, like the self-doubt. It's not you.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
it's nothing to do with you as a person.
Mm.
Um, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
that's really important to kind of think about. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, no, 100% agree. It's always a fine balance to get between like not seeming too desperate or pestering, writing emails every, I don't know, every week. Hey, when's the next step going to happen? But yeah, not leaving it too long that, yeah, it seems
yeah,
like you're
just
not
find
interested.
the happy balance,
Yeah.
and being like, hey, I'm really interested in this position, express your gratitude as well.
Yeah.
Like, just try not to just, be interested. If you love the position, you're really interested, just express that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
100%.
absolutely, absolutely. But also tying it in with, I don't know, things like anxiety, things like that is something that I suffer with myself, anxiety. I can see the book's ready. How can you deal with that? So maybe moving away specifically from
Sure.
job interviews, job hunting, but just your own mental health, which will tie into the job search and just your career in general. Do you have any tips or any advice that you can share for people who deal with anxiety or deal with the pressure to say yes to everything?
Yeah, there's a couple good books. Feeling Good, Mood Therapy.
Okay.
That's a really good book if people want to check that out.
Yeah.
It just talks about like your self-worth, managing tough situations and stuff like that. Another thing that I like to kind of use is, so it's this book by Mark Hansen. I'm not gonna say the one word on it, but The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Journal, right? So in this journal, reflecting on your thoughts, cognitive distortions, your daily tasks, your action plans,
Mm,
knowing versus doing. So I'm just going
mm.
through. I've written all over this book for over 6 months actually. So I've been
Oh, well.
actively going through, jotting things down, guys. So this is a great journal
Mhm.
to kind of go through, looking at your values, your conflicting values. Um, you know, kind of fortune telling, labeling,
Mm.
comparing yourself to others, like, oh, well, why does this person get this and I don't, right? Well, let's change that. Let's change the way that perception is viewed.
Mm,
And then going through, I mean, this has been a life changer for me.
mm.
Um, like, for instance, right? So I have this chapter right here. So this is something everybody here on this call can understand. All or nothing thinking, blaming others, catastrophizing, emotional reasoning, fortune telling, labeling, magnifying the negative, minimizing the positive. So these are all like very strong cognitive distortions that
Mm.
we sometimes do. And I'm going to be honest, it's okay to get help.
Yeah.
It's okay to get help. Anybody who says it's not, I don't care what you say. That's not right.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with anxiety or depression, go seek help, see a therapist, get the help you need.
Yeah.
But a lot of these self exercises, right? You can kind of go and you can
Mm.
start working on them in this book.
Mm.
Of course, free advertising to to Mark Manson. I'm sorry, Mark Manson. If he does see
Mhm.
this, you're awesome. I mean, he did help me a lot get through a lot of
Yeah.
my cognitive distortions, and I'm still managing it. Like I am nowhere near, where I want to be, but I
Mm.
have gotten that little meter to happiness even farther and farther and farther.
Yeah.
So, because we're talking outside UX, right?
Sure.
Um, it's I do a lot of things. A lot of people that don't know me, I work the consulting job. Like I said, I run that massive YouTube channel. I
Hmm.
take care of my mother. I have my wife. I have my kitty cats at the house. And I help a lot of people with the YouTube channel on the weekends.
Mm.
And I'm also pushing all the different bowling brands. So bowling guys, that's what I
Wow.
do outside. I do all the different bowling brands, but I do mostly for the Motive Bowling. I'm on staff with Motive. So it's like I have all
Wow.
these different things that I'm doing and trying to build trust within that industry. I'm trying to do really well in the UX industry. You guys are like, holy crap, this guy does a lot. But guess what? Power of saying no,
Yeah.
managing your time, setting aside time, finding time to play the guitar, play music, sing, play cello, play
Yeah.
video games, right? Like those are all very important things
Yeah.
to be doing. Finding the hobbies that you really enjoy, going out, going for a walk. I mean, I wouldn't say going for a walk in Michigan right now because it's freezing. But if you're like in the Bay Area or if you're like down south and it's a little warmer, take those opportunities to, disconnect yourself
Yeah.
from the things that are bothering you.
Yeah.
That's really, really important. Um, and it's like, don't let others, what they say impact you. And
Mm.
everybody struggles with it too. It happens, but we got to
Yeah.
just be able to walk through that, fight through it, and be the best version of ourselves while taking care of ourselves at the same
Mm.
time, and know that there is an end goal. It's just
Mm.
happiness and achieving the fine line of what is possible with my time, and of course just being respectful to yourself, using
Yeah.
more positive statements, which
Mm.
I wake up every morning. I actually started this new routine 2 months ago where my phone, I have a bad habit, social media, after work and all that, and in the morning I don't touch my phone for a
Hmm.
while. I stop
Wow.
touching my phone in the morning. So create the habit, create the
Mm.
good habit, waking up saying, all right, today's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
Not, today's going to be so stressful because X, Y, and Z. Well, if you start the day like that, then those distortions will
Yeah.
creep up, and then you'll start having, oh, I knew this was going to happen, or oh man, I knew this was going to. We
Mm.
don't want that. We want to
No.
be like, all right. And then if something stressful comes at work, or I mean, that happens all the time,
Mm.
you can just handle it, and
Yeah.
just be professional and grow.
Yes.
That's more important than just being constantly negative.
Mm.
And again, I'm not just blowing smoke up anyone right now. Sometimes I get down on myself. It's
Yeah.
okay. We all do. But it's about how do we recover from that? How do we like shift focus and get better?
Mm.
Um, so
Yeah. No, that's all amazing advice. Yeah. I wish I had enough time to play my guitar too. I think I pick it up like once a month, but for 5 minutes at a time. But yeah, no, that's all like really good advice. And I want to highlight that point as well that you mentioned that it mental health is a complex thing. So if you do feel you do need help, like professional help, then always take that. Like I refrained for years to take that path through just personal shame over it and maybe
mhm.
denial that you do need that path. But thanks to my wife, she helped me see that I did need to go down that path, and I'm so glad I did that. So yeah, if you do need that help, then go for it. Like it will help you at least order your thoughts and put things into process. Because yeah, a lot of these feelings that maybe you do have do come from previous things you've experienced. So yeah,
Exactly.
get help for that if you do feel you need it. And then yeah, like you said, make sure that you try and get into a positive mindset. Again, I think that's really important. It does start from the morning when you do wake up. If you already frame your mind for a stressful negative day, then that's what you're going to get, because you're always going to be looking for those negative aspects of your day, and you'll just jump on them. Instead, if you wake up and you start your day in a positive way, then yeah, that will at least frame your day. And if anything negative does come along, you'll be in a better mindset to deal with it. So
And
yeah.
one thing too I wanted to mention, and I started doing it very, very heavily, since our last conversation. So fitness, going to the gym,
Oh,
taking care
yes.
of yourself. I started doing and of course I'm in my 30s. And I'm thinking, I need to just do something like honestly, the high intensity interval training, 25 minutes, 5 days a week for me. After work or in the
Mm,
morning. I usually go like 6, 7 a.m. Before my stand up at work. It's a great way to start your day, guys.
yeah.
If you're just get your blood pumping, you just
Mm,
you dieting, eating better, try to limit like a lot of sugar, I cut out a lot of things. And
Mm,
yeah, this sounds like a lot of stuff, but it's like these are good things for you,
yeah.
It's helped me feel better throughout the day.
Mm,
Exercise is very, very important. So you
yeah.
guys like go to Planet Fitness or Crunch or wherever Snap Fitness, like wherever you guys want to go work out or
Mm.
your local gym, right? Just about man, find a trainer. Like, hey, there's a lot of good things. I think physical fitness can really help the mindset. It's
Mm,
just helped me. Uh, it's just helped a lot. I don't know.
yeah.
It's just helped me a ton in the last few months. So
Yeah, and it all goes hand in hand. Like you might think, why are you talking about going to the gym in the UX podcast episode? But it all goes hand in hand. If you're looking after
yeah,
yourself physically, mentally, that will all tie into other areas of your life. That will tie into a better mindset and just feeling good about yourself, even if you're struggling to find that job. If you already feel good and confident with yourself, that will just transmit also to people you're interviewing with. That they will pick up on that as well. Instead, if you're just struggling, you're not feeling good about yourself, you're focusing too much on
gonna
those
reflect.
rejections, that's going to
Yeah.
reflect and they'll pick up on that. And you'll just naturally sound negative. Like it might seem cliche, but it's true. You won't be confident enough to talk about your achievements in a positive way and focus on the things you're good at. You'll just naturally focus on your weaknesses. And that's something I've noticed myself. So,
And this is gonna sound crazy. I mean, I've actually had that happen. I've actually
oh, wow.
failed at certain interviews. I'm not really doing any of that now, but I'm just saying, like in the past, where something bad happened, or there was a negative thing that happened, and it influenced me,
Yeah.
and it just made me not be confident in myself.
Yeah.
So it's just like
Mm.
that happens, and then you go in these interviews, and you don't realize you're thinking, and then all of a sudden your mind's wandering.
Yeah.
You're like thinking, and you got all this stuff going on, and you're like they're talking, and it's like they're over here, and like you're over here, and you're like, holy crap, and
Yeah.
then
An out of
don't
body experience.
exactly, and like
Yeah.
evaluate those things, right? Like if something, it could be something, right? Make a list, like what are the things that are good that are happening? What are things that are bringing me down? Cut
Mm.
those things out of your life,
Yeah.
toxicity in any sort of way, that's going to be
Absolutely.
healthy for you. It could be anything,
Yeah.
and that again, you guys take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
That's number one. You are number one, that's important.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, thank you for going through all of that. And also sharing maybe a vulnerable side of yourself by sharing these experiences where it's happened to you as well. I think that's really important. So thank you for that. And yeah, just to maybe round up this final part of this workshop, I know you've said many good things in especially in this part. Is there something you want to leave our listeners or viewers as like a final piece of advice, or it could be just a one-liner? What would that be to kind of round up this part?
Stop caring about what other people do and start caring about what you're doing.
Love it, love it. I will try to do that. I'll take that on board myself. So thank you, and thank you, Theo, for running this workshop. It's been like super awesome. Also to have these conversations with you from my point of view, and I've had good feedback as well from viewers. So yeah, just thank you for running this workshop, and I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers have found this episode and these episodes a boost to start their UX career. So thank you.
Thanks, Dale.